the bass keep pounding on me, baby. I really wanna make you mine. I don't really care about love. I don't really care about happy ever after. Something about you gives me hope. Something about you.
Hi guys, it's Demi and Sean. Welcome back to the Daily Dose of Us channel. So today is a long awaited video. We did want to get this up much earlier for you, but it just, things happened and
too busy.
Life accumulated and we just never got it down. But we are going to dedicate now to sitting down and filming and talking you through our full house buying process. If you don't know, we've bought a house. There's renovation vlogs on this channel. There's a house tour on my channel. So yeah, the last kind of month now, is it? Well, no, not yet.
No, about 3 weeks.
3 weeks. We've had the house about 3 weeks. We've had the keys, and there's a lot of questions around kind of the process of buying a house, our process, and this was a very long process for us. We've actually been looking at houses for over 2.5 years. Well, from like literally looking 2.5 years.
At least 2.5.
Yeah, it was such a long process for us. We're going to talk you through all of that in this video. We actually have a house Instagram called Daily Dose of Us Home. We asked you for extra questions on there, and we got quite a few questions. So any questions that I thought we might not cover in the actual topics and the sections of this video, we will answer at the end. But yeah, we're just going to get into it. So this video is going to be divided into sections, basically like from the beginning of the process right till the end, because we think that's the easiest way to do it, and we've kind of sat down and planned points we want to cover and talk about. But I do just want to say we are absolutely not professionals. We've literally just bought our house and that is it, but we're just going to talk from our experience of actually buying a house. So don't take anything we say and run with it, like do your own research, but this is just our experience, and yeah, we're very excited to kind of give you a little house knowledge. But yeah, so we'll just get into it.
So the first part is saving for a house, where the savings come from, how you can do it, and what schemes you can have. We had the government's Help to Buy, which was 25% free basically at the end. So if you had £10,000 saved up, you would have 2.5 grand.
So we actually both opened this scheme when we were about 17, 18, didn't we?
Yeah.
So we both saved into this scheme for quite a long period of time. And now this particular scheme, the Help to Buy, I said, doesn't exist anymore. You can't open one now, but you can actually open what's called a lifetime ISA.
Well, if you've already got one though,
yeah, you can still pay into it, yeah.
So,
but if you don't have one, you will not be able to open one, but you can get what's called a lifetime ISA. Now, because I don't have one of these, I'm not 100% sure if it's the exact same amount that the government will give you, but the government does give you money towards buying your first house as well. So definitely look into these, because we both got quite a big chunk of money. Sean actually saved,
I think you saved, maximum you could save was 200 a month.
Yes.
And then you got 50 quid a month for nothing basically.
And you had, what was it in yours? You had,
so just say you had 10 grand, you would get 2.5 grand for free. Yeah. Because that's 25%. So that's a couple of grand. At the end of the day, that could be your house. You'll get a house for 120. You just kind of need to save 10 grand, and then you get that.
And it really does help when you come into paying your deposit, because that's the biggest chunk of money you'll pay for a house. And when you are looking at your savings, if you're getting an extra few £1,000 for free off the government, it really does help.
And if there's 2 years with 10 grand, you're getting 5 grand.
Yeah, because even if you're buying a house with a partner, you can still both use your Help to Buy and have separate ones. So if you and your partner are both looking to buy a house, open separate ISAs, because you will then get the
you get double.
Yeah, you get double.
Both get.
Well, you both have to save, but you will get more.
And like you just, because obviously the one you don't need to do 200 a month. If you've still got that one now. Yeah, 50, when I first opened mine, I only saved 100 a month because I couldn't afford the 200. So you just do that, and at the end of the day, I had to dip into mine sometimes now and then, but you can't put it back in. Yeah. Once you take it out, that's it. You can't. You can only do your monthly payments, so you've got to be careful of that. Don't dip into it. Yeah. If you can help it.
If you can, just try not to. Once that money's in your ISA, try to just leave it
That's
there.
why if you can't do the max, don't do the max. Do what you can do.
Yeah, you can do. I think it's a minimum of 50 a month, isn't it? I think, or maybe 25. I'm sure you can do lower.
Probably, and at the end of the day, you might just take it a bit longer. You might take you 5-10 years to save. It's money in your pocket.
But when you put it like that, if you can save into an account which is going to give you extra money, rather than saving into an account where you're only going to have that and maybe a bit more due to interest, really recommend, if you're eligible, to look into a sort of ISA where the government will help you. I believe it's called a lifetime ISA. I believe it's like a LISA that is now equivalent to kind of a Help to Buy, because the Help to Buy doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, right. And I think some people are a bit scared of them, and there's a bit rumours flying about, but all you do is your solicitor gives you a form, you fill that form in, and they pretty much do the work for you.
Yeah.
I think the solicitor like claims money back off the government. They do all the money side of it. You just make sure when you get your bill off the solicitor, like an invoice,
that they've claimed your Help to Buy.
That your Help to Buy's on there with your calculated 25%. So you just need to make sure that that's there, because some people have been fiddled a bit where the solicitor has forgot and just left it. But don't leave it. Get on your solicitor and say, I've got one, and sort it out.
And in terms of saving for a house, what I would recommend is look at the area that you live or want to live, and look at the house prices in that area. Now, when you're getting mortgages and stuff like that, you're nearly always going to have to pay a minimum of 10%. Or there is schemes available where you can do shared ownership and
like new builds and that.
New builds. Yeah, so if you're looking at new builds, I think there's a few more schemes available. However, if you're looking at pre-owned, usually the minimum is 10% that you will need to save towards. So if you look in your area and you know that you want a two-bedroomed terrace house and they're retailing for around 100,000, then you know you would need to save about £10,000 ideally. So that's kind of how to set a savings target for a house. If you're looking for a small flat and you find them in your area like going up for sale around 60,000, you will be looking to save around £6,000. But like we said, if you have a Help to Buy and you can manage to save as much in that Help to Buy, you're getting free money. So yeah, we would really recommend Help to Buys. Ours both came in very useful, no stress at all with them, and we can't talk about them enough because we personally thought they were amazing. If
you've got one now, you can use it. If you're young and you're just starting,
look at the lifetime ISAs.
So just go to your bank and ask.
Just say you want to start saving towards a house and just find the best option available at this time, because like I said, at the time it was the Help to Buy ISAs that helped us a lot. But yeah, so that's kind of the savings in a nutshell, just kind of what you need to save. I would say you're aiming for a 10% minimum. If you're looking at new build houses, there is schemes where you can get a house for 5%, so maybe that could be something you want to consider.
We don't know about that.
We don't know, because we didn't do that process, so we wouldn't be the best.
I think there's more schemes on new builds. I think there's government schemes where you pay less interest at first. You might pay schemes like that where I think the initial payments are lower for a certain term. And then shared ownership, obviously you might own 70%, the council might own 30%, which obviously gets your payments down. That's what suits you. But we don't know anything about them really, do we?
Not really, no.
It might not be 10% now. I believe some need at least 15%.
Because of Corona, a lot of the banks now aren't allowing 10%. You actually have to have 15%. We were lucky that we were able just to pay the 10%, because for us, we bought this house and we knew we needed a bit of money afterwards. We really didn't want to pay more than the 10%. We had the money, but we just didn't want to. So yeah, I think we literally just missed the threshold of having to pay.
So it might be 15 now, but hopefully
it should go back down. Okay, so yeah, the next section is obviously finding an area that you want to live in. I mean, there's not really much to say about this. It's basically just finding where you want to live and getting an estimated price of the houses in that area, because it varies literally like from city to city. And yeah, we obviously knew when we were buying a house we wanted to live in Newcastle because that's where we were brought up, but it was for us finding exactly where.
And have a little drive around and just like
see what areas you like. And I think area for us, it was quite important that we had a lot near, because I just feel some areas, especially new builds, they just build on fields and there's not much near the actual houses. When we were looking, we wanted like to have shops near and transport and things like that. Was quite important to us. So just find out what's important to you. If you can't drive, you're going to want somewhere that's got good transport links, so look at that. If you can drive, that might not be as much of a bother to you. We wanted somewhere where there was kind of nice like pubs and just a kind of community area we were looking for. So yeah, that's kind of just briefly, when you're looking at your area, a few things you could maybe look out for and what we were looking at. But yeah, there's not much more to say about that, just kind of find an area that works for you.
Then it's all about the house, what type of house you want and what you want, what you need really.
I think this is a funny one, because for us, when we first started looking at houses, we didn't realise how fussy we would be.
I would just scrutinise the driveway.
Oh, he was terrible. Like, honestly, I've never known a person come up with things like some of the things he come up with.
I would view a house and I would just see things, and Demi would just like. I
would just scream out laughing at some of the things he would be put off a house by.
I think it's just common sense, but it's just some people just don't see it. But like one of them reviewed the door opened up in the living room and then it blocked the TV. But that to me is just stupid.
So he was like, so that's just ridiculous. So if I'm going out the door and you're watching the TV, it's going to block your TV.
And I just think for the price the house was, I just thought that's something I don't want to pay.
Yeah. There was a lot of things as well, like there was some were reviewed had really bad slope and driveways, and again that was quite an issue. That was quite a big one, I think, for like flooding. If it was to flood, would your house get like a risk of flooding? There was a house that we actually were quite close to getting, but we decided that it wasn't for us, and that was because it didn't have a big enough downstairs space, which when we initially viewed the house, we didn't see it, but then when we came away from the house, we kind of thought, where would you have like a dinner if you had a lot of people around? Where could you supply that? And this house, it didn't have that space, did it? And our friends actually took the piss at the time, saying, so you pulled out because you can't have a dinner. But actually, it is quite a big thing.
When you're buying
for forever.
In my eyes, you're paying this house for 34 years now.
Yeah. You want it to be perfect for you.
It needs to be.
And I think don't rush it. Like there's always different types of houses for your budget. And for example, like if you have 100 grand, if that's your budget, there's so many different varieties of house for 100 grand. So don't like be put down if you look at a few and you think they're not for me. Like you've just got to keep looking, haven't you?
Some things don't bother some people, some do.
Yeah. Like for us, it was important for us that we had a driveway, we had quite a decent back garden. We wanted to have, these were things that were important to us. This isn't what I'm saying like you need to look for, but for us we wanted good land, and for me personally, I wanted to have like good spacious rooms and just a lot of like space within a house. That's what I really wanted. We never kind of had a preference if we wanted a terrace, semi or detached. We didn't really have a preference. It was more for us just a house that had good land, a driveway, and a kind of a good setup inside as well.
For me, it was like the plot of land, like where your neighbours are around you, and like where the house is situated in the street was a big one for me. Like,
you really
like stuff like that, you know, like. And like that's why it's good driving around. If you drive around and if there's cars parked everywhere in the street, and you know it's going to be a nightmare for you to park, that can put you off. Yeah. You know, because it's like.
Especially if you're someone like you who really loves your car, you would be worried that parking outside your house you could get damaged or.
There's things like that you can get pity and you can start going down.
Oh, we did get very particular. Like the more houses we viewed, the more we would kind of scrutinise and pick them apart, which wasn't a good thing in the end because we just felt we were never going to find the house we wanted. Like at some points I thought we're going to have to build our own house, but we took a step back from that and realised that like we had basic things that we wanted, and if we ticked them off then the house was for us. Don't ever look at the interior, and this is something that I kind of did at the beginning. I was very sold by interior. Like I would go in and I'd be like, did you see the kitchen? And he was like, yeah, but like it's not about that, because interior is always changeable.
At the end of the day, if you go in a house that looks lovely, when you buy it, it'll be empty. So
that
not being that house you viewed, you'll get a shock 6 months later. That's why we didn't get one yet, because this house was pretty much.
This house was empty when we viewed it, so when we viewed it, we knew.
We bought how
that's right. So we knew coming into this house, this is what we're getting. This is what it'll look like.
Viewed some that looked nicer than this one.
But
when you come to buy it, that cooker might not be there. You've got to negotiate. If you want things left, you've got to get that in writing. That's being left. If not, it'll just be walls and floors.
And I think as well, when you're viewing houses, you can look at a really nice modern kitchen, and if a house looks more modern on the inside, the price of it goes up because it just looks more modern and it's going to sell better. That's usually how the market works. But like we viewed one particular house which had this gorgeous modern grey kitchen. I personally don't even like grey kitchens, but that house was so much higher in the market because it was just more modern.
It's probably like a 10 grand kitchen.
So, and for me, it was a beautiful house. I could have lived in it straight away. I wouldn't have had to do anything to it. but it wasn't what I wanted. So yeah, I bought this house, but I wouldn't have liked that kitchen in the long run. I would have wanted to change it. So don't ever be sold by any interior, whether it's bathrooms, kitchens, or like the decor. Like the decor of this house was definitely far beyond what we wanted, but that's all changeable. And I think that's a huge thing, is just do not get sold by decor. Look at the actual size of the rooms, the space, the land, because at the end of the day, that's what you're buying. You're not buying the decor.
You're not buying the items in the house.
No, nothing like that. So that's kind of searching for a property and what's important to you and what was important to us for searching.
Like you've got kids and dogs, obviously that's more boxes that need ticked and stuff from what your plan is. To be honest, our plan was to just get the biggest house we could for the cheapest we could, hopefully never move out, because it's a stressful thing. I don't want to move house.
No.
Because it's just stressful. So
that's why as well, for us personally, at the beginning of searching for houses, we looked at smaller houses. So we looked at some 2 bedrooms, we looked at some 3 bedrooms, and at the time we had offers in on these houses. We really were keen to get them. But as time went on, we kind of realised that we would rather buy a house that we could live in with a family if we have one, and that could be a forever home if we wanted it to be. We don't want to have to remove, because you do have extra costs if you remove, like stamp duty. We'll talk about that further on in the video, but there is extra costs to removing. You have to pay like your estate agent fees and everything, and for us, we were in a position where we could buy a house that could be big enough, so we wanted to max kind of, and to be fair, we still didn't even max what we were entitled to from the mortgage. No. We weren't but we just knew we wanted a bigger house. Obviously I understand not everybody's going to be able to do that for their first house, and I think, getting onto the property ladder, whether you're buying a smaller house or a bigger house, is a great thing anyway, being on the property ladder. But that's why we, for a first house, did go with a bigger house. It just felt like it was the right thing for us to do. Yeah. So
then you got viewing the house would be like the next thing.
So the next stage, after you've kind of discovered what you both want, you would then look to start viewing properties.
And you just ring up the estate agent and ask, can you view it? And they'll ask the owner of the house. They might take you there themselves, or the owner might be there. Doesn't really matter, and you just go and view it. But if you don't really know what, take someone with you, like a parent who you might have a builder in the family, anything like that. Take measure rooms up, because we measured rooms up. We didn't measure, went back home and were querying if we could get a bed in there and stuff, so we had to go back a second time. Which, if you can go and get it all done in one viewing, you kind of might be set up if it's like a competition.
Yeah, because the area in particular that we wanted to live in had a very, very, very fast housing market. So what this means is basically a house would come up for sale and it would be gone within weeks. Like, houses were not up for sale long in this area, and it's just because it's quite a popular area. A lot of people want to live in this area. It's a really nice area, what do you think? So yeah, kind of loads of younger people, older people wanted to live here. So as soon as the house came up for sale, the viewings were jam-packed and the houses were going like so quick. So it's so important to try and get everything you want to know in your first viewing.
Just take your time.
Yeah, don't feel rushed. Like, if you're potentially going to buy that house, do not let anyone, like, if you're rushed, if you want to measure a wall, don't feel cheeky to measure it, and don't feel cheeky to ask the owners any questions.
Like have a look in the loft. Have a look in the shed, garden, literally have a look everywhere. You know what I mean? Ask them, take a look there. And then if they don't want you to look somewhere, that might ring alarm bells.
Why, you know?
So that's the thing. But then at the same time, don't just rush into it and think, oh, it's lush, I have to put an offer in tomorrow. Because and don't get worried. From that, would say is, ask the person selling the house, try and get a picture of what position they are, what position you are. Because we kind of you kind of want to be in a stronger position. And I think a lot of people think if you're first time buyer, you think you're weak, but you're not, because you haven't got a chain. If you haven't got a chain, that's that's the strongest position you can be, buying a house, because that means it's just you buying that house. You haven't got anyone buying your house.
Because you don't have a house to sell.
Because then if you're selling your house, the person buying your house can pull out, which means you can't buy that house. And it can be a chain of 10, 20 people sometimes. And it just takes one person to fall out and the chain's ruined. So if you're first time, you're one of the strongest buyers.
And if the person selling the house knows your first time, they're more inclined to take your offer, because if they want out of that house quick, they know you're a first time buyer, they know you've got no chain, you've got no you've got no reason really to pull out or to have to fall out with the offer. So you're actually in a really good position if you're a first time buyer, and that's actually how we got this house. There was 2 competing offers. The other people were actually in a chain which had previously fell through. We weren't. We were like ready to buy it, ready to go, and that's how we got this house, because the owner didn't want the chain.
And you even express that to the people, to tell them, I'm a first time, what are you? Ask if they're willing to move out, are they in a chain, have they got another property that can move to, etc. So you can just get a gist of them. And like
I just think there's no question, like, don't feel embarrassed to ask, especially related to the house and that. Obviously don't go in knees deep in their family life, but like any questions related to the house or their brief family life, you're entitled to know if you're going to be offering that house.
All that later on, you can then get the gist of where you want to come from for your offer. If you know you're super strong and they're pretty weak, you feel like, you know your offer can be less. And you know, if you know that they're desperate to sell, that's what you want to know. Are they desperate to sell? I.e., has it been on the market for a year or 2? Have they had a few sales drop out? Has it been reduced in price? Like, do your research before you go there. And then if you know that they're quite weak, that's what you want in a way. Pretty tough and ruthless, but in
this market, we've definitely learned over the 2 years. In this market, you have to be tough and ruthless. We lost out on so many houses we wanted. We had a lot of tears about houses.
Because it might go like blind bids, where you've just got to put a bid in, and that's it. In the highest bid wins. And that isn't good, because you might end up paying more.
Well, we'll get more onto that in the next section. Is that the next one, is it? About offers
and that.
Yeah, so moving on from kind of viewing houses, if you view a house and you really like it, the next stage would be potentially to put an offer in. Never ever offer the asking price. Well, actually, that's a lie, because we missed a few houses by not offering the asking price. So we were always told...
Well, we didn't know, we offered less, and then we worked our way up. And that's when it got into a bit of a...
A problem we had at the very beginning of searching for houses, for some reason, a lot of the houses we wanted to buy, the people who currently owned them had sold them to builders. So what this means is the people in the houses are now going to be buying a new build house. They've sold their house to the builder. Now, when this happens, I kid you not, if you want that house, it's a bit of a shitty situation from our experience.
And that's from us as well, like before. Do you own the house, or have you sold it to the builder? Because it does change.
It completely changes.
Because the builder, in our case, just took the first reasonable offer and wasn't bothered about anything.
There was no negotiation, which this meant we lost out on 2 houses that we really wanted, because we thought in any natural circumstances, which you're always told to do by everyone, never offer the asking price, offer lower.
It's like 10% or something.
So if, for example, if you own the house and I come and another woman comes and we both offer similar prices, the builder will just take the one that's slightly more, and usually there's absolutely no negotiation. Even if I wanted to come back in with a higher offer, builders don't care for a few £1,000 like an actual seller would. So basically, once it's sold, it's very rare that they'll
just got a price that they're happy with, and that's that.
And they'll just do it because they just want quick sales. So basically we missed 2 houses because of this. When you're buying it from a person who's actually selling the house, for them, it is a lot different, because it goes down to them and they look more into your circumstances. Are you first time buyers or are you not? What you're offering them money wise, how quick can you get in, how quick can they get out, that type of thing. So that's a question to ask when you're viewing the house. Do you still own the house, or have you sold it to a builder? I don't know if there's anything else that people can sell houses to, but they were 2 things that we experienced.
And it's like, obviously, there's different types of bids. I think you can do like sealed bids and stuff like that, where you put a blind offer in and you don't know if the 5 other people have offered higher or lower, and that's when you can pay more. If you want it, you just have to pay more. If you really want that house.
So for example, like some houses, I know some of them we put offers in on, like we would put our first initial offer in, and then the estate agent would ring me back and say, someone's offered higher than you, do you want to go higher? And then we'd have to decide, do we want to go higher? And it's kind of like a bit more, you just gotta like find, but don't, I know it's really hard, and there was some houses that I'm actually glad we didn't get in these bid wars, because the price just seemed to go above kind of what I wanted to pay for the house. But at the time when you're in that situation and you really want the house, you kind of lose You just go higher and higher and higher, which isn't a good thing.
Yeah. But then at the same time, in England, I think you can have an offer accepted and you can pull out.
Yeah, oh, you can. You did do that for one property.
I think it's pretty much you can sort of pull out until pretty much you nearly get the keys. Isn't
it?
Pretty much until you
sign the contract
with a solicitor, which is weeks, maybe even months down the line. You can actually pull out.
But Scotland is different. So if you're in Scotland, do your own research.
So never feel like you. But obviously, then don't just go around putting bids in and wasting time because.
No, don't do that.
That's just stupid.
It's not fair on other people. But if you. So basically our experience, we did put quite a few offers in houses. There's 4 that I can think of at the top of my head. So 2 of them were lost due to kind of being gazumped. Other people will put higher offers in and we literally just couldn't then get the house because the builders had accepted it. One of the houses we actually had an offer accepted on. We really loved the house, but once we'd kind of thought about it a bit more, I think we put the offer in a bit too early, which was a mistake that we learned, and after this we were more thoughtful on kind of putting offers in. But we did pull out of a house that we did get an offer accepted on, purely the more we thought about it, we weren't 100% happy with it. The downstairs space just wasn't what we had wanted, so we pulled out of one house, and then the last house we put an offer on was this one. But we viewed loads, but the last house we put an offer on was this one, which our first initial offer didn't get accepted. We went back to the estate agents and the seller twice, and then we managed to come to an agreement.
Crept up a bit,
just slowly crept up nearer to the price that we were both happy to pay. I was a bit gutted with this though, because this house was basically more or less sold, and then because the other buyers were in a chain, their buyer fell out, so this house basically fell through, and then it had to go back onto the market, which is when we seen it. We went to view the house and loved it. We went away for a few days though, and we didn't put an offer in initially. We left it about a week. We left it about a week because we came back, we got another viewing, and then we thought about it for quite a long time because we didn't want to be in the situation again where we had an offer accepted and pull out. So we left this one about a week and then decided we both really did love the house. But as we put our offer in, the estate agent told us that the other people had found another buyer and they had put their offer back in. So then it was down to the seller of this house to decide, did he want to continue with the process from the other people or did he want to go with us? Now the only reason he went with us was because we were first time buyers. So we...
and obviously we offered less and we thought we got a price we were happy with compared to what it was up for. But that isn't always the case. The case was we were first time and we could potentially move in quicker and be stronger to buy. And does you want to take the risk of going back to them
and having it fall through again?
But they might be offering 100 grand more, but that's not worth it if it's going to keep
falling
through.
So we didn't actually find out what they offered, but the estate agent did inform us that they had offered slightly more, but that's to him.
I mean, it might have just been a couple of grand, which in the grand scheme of things, the house isn't that bad. But it's just, it's not always the money. Your circumstances can be stronger as well. With the right money. That's basically it, really. But also, what we didn't see was a decision principle. You might need one to view a house.
So some areas actually require that you have a decision in principle. Now what this is you'll basically ring up your bank and your bank will go through your finances with you.
Your bank, any bank?
Well, it can be any bank actually, it doesn't have to be your bank, but any bank will give you a decision in principle. It's basically, it's not an in-depth search, it's basically just a very rough estimate of what they would offer you, but it's not final.
So you might want to get a mortgage through, and it's just like basically, yes, we probably will lend you money to get a mortgage. And then just so you're a little bit more serious to an estate agent. Because some won't let you view a house.
Some won't let you, but some will. Some areas you can view houses without one, but some areas you really do have to have a decision in principle.
So that can obviously delay you if you want to jump in and view a house.
So you can put an offer in on a house, but your offer isn't actually kind of finalised, and the house won't be sold on subject to contract until you've provided your decision in principle. So if you've got one before you view the house, they last for 3 months once you get one, and then you have to renew it. If you've got one before you buy the house, you're in a kind of better position to get offers put in quicker. They do a very slight credit check, but it doesn't make a mark on your credit score.
Especially now, it used to take you could do one and get one instant. But I know ours took nearly a week.
Because of Corona.
probably
it's a factor to look at before you go
definitely
viewing.
because if you look at a house, that's all you're thinking about once you go home. And we were waiting for a week just on edge.
Because we were just thinking of all the possibilities of someone else coming in and taking the house, or him getting a better offer, or us not being able to provide quick enough. Like everything goes through your head. But
that doesn't cost. That's just a
it doesn't cost.
Call.
Just a phone call.
On the phone for you might be on the phone for half an hour.
Yeah.
And it's like basically it's your wage, your outgoings.
Yeah.
Blah blah. How much was the house? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it
basically just gives the bank an idea of what you have in a month, what you have going out, and what they're willing to offer you because of that. And that also gives you a good idea of the budget you should be looking at houses, because there's no point in going to look at a 200 grand house if you can only lend 100 grand. So
that's
and that's how you kind of find out how much you would get as a mortgage as well.
And probably should have said before, you look on a bank or a lender's website and do a quick calculator of like say if it's you and your partner, your salaries, your outgoings, and that tells you how much you can lend for a mortgage. So and that's what you look at. And if you just can lend 200 between the 2 years, you look at houses. I would say you look at houses a bit higher than 200. Because that's just the marketing.
So if a house is up for 210, 220, even 230, you could still view it.
I would view it houses.
It really does depend on the circumstances of the house as to how much you can get off it. Okay, so the next section is having an offer on a house accepted. So this is obviously dead exciting. You found a house you really like, you've put an offer in, the seller's accepted it. It's an exciting time.
That's all with the estate agent. They'll be ringing you. You don't actually speak to the seller.
No. So basically, once you've had an offer accepted, it's straightforward. The estate agent will ask you to provide details. This will be your decision in principle, your proof of deposit. So they'll ask for a proof of your savings or proof of your help to buy ISAs, either or if you've got both, because we had a bit of both. They'll ask for proof of that, and then they'll ask for your identification documents. So you have to send all them to the estate agent. Once you've sent them to the estate agent, the house will come off the market, but it still will be on listings as sold subject to contract. This doesn't mean that it's yours. People can still view the house technically if the seller wanted to allow them to, they can, and people can still put in offers. At this point you still can get gazumped, and people can actually still put offers in even if they haven't viewed the property, and if the seller decided to accept it, then basically like you would just have to either up your offer or you'd be back to kind of the offering stage. So this doesn't mean you've got the house, but it is a step in the right direction.
It's basically like day one.
It's day one to get there. So there's not much to this. Once you've provided the estate agent with everything they need to know, it'll go off the market subject to contract. And then it's kind of just waiting around for other people and other things, isn't it?
Well, no, you need to...
you need to sort your mortgage out.
Decide who you're going to go with. And that's where you might get a mortgage advisor.
So this is where we're moving from like the offer stage being accepted into kind of mortgages. So you could decide that you want to get a mortgage advisor to help you with this process. We didn't have a mortgage advisor, so we really can't give you much advice on mortgage advisors. We decided to do our own research, and well, you did a lot of the research for us on this, didn't you?
I don't know how much they cost, but I just thought you look online and compare websites. There's a few percentages in that, to be honest. There's a few APR and there's numbers and percentages, and you can look at it and you don't know what's going on. But there's benefits where you might get cash back. If you go with them, they might give you 500 quid. So that's good, do that. Might give you 200 quid. It's better than nothing, but that's not the be all and end all. You've got to look at the percentage. In like there's the terms. Do you want it for 2 year, 5 year, 10 year, fixed? Or do you want it variable? So there's a lot of things, and that's when the mortgage broker comes in.
If you're like me, self-employed, you need a lot more.
And it's probably like daunting, or like, do you want variable? What's variable? Variable is when you get it fixed, and that percentage of like interest on the mortgage is like fixed now. But then if you get a variable, it goes with the market. So
each month it'll fluctuate.
If like what's it called, the interest market or whatever it is. Interest rates, if they go up, your mortgage fluctuates every month. So your mortgage will fluctuate every month, which is good if it goes down, but bad if it goes up. But at this current period in time, it's low. So we got it fixed because it's better to get it fixed for now because it is quite low. Yeah, like savings accounts don't get much percentage because it's low, so it's better to get it fixed one now, really, because it's pretty much rock bottom.
Yeah.
Get that fixed for as long as you can, but the longer you get it fixed for, it works out a bit dearer than a short-term one because you save more in the long run. So it does get a bit complicated, and that's where a mortgage
advisor would advise you.
Does
I mean, it's
things.
Nothing that you can't find out on the internet by researching, but if you feel you don't want to learn that, or if you're not
it's not your thing and numbers, then
you're probably best to look into getting a mortgage advisor. But we didn't. We had a
lot.
But
just need to have a read of it, even speak to family and friends. And
we were quite lucky. We had a lot of family and friends around who could advise were on kind of mortgage rates and everything. So we didn't feel the need to get a mortgage advisor.
And the calculators on the bank websites, you just play with some numbers and you see, end of the day, you see the final monthly payment, and that's what you're paying every month.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to look at. But then you've got to look at the percentage. Is that percentage, is it cheaper at one bank than it is the other, lower percentage? And then like, what benefits you get? You get cashbacks, stuff, and I don't know, it's like, it feels like it's just
I feel like it could be complicated if you aren't in anything like this. I mean, to be honest, I kind of took a step back when it came to that, and I let you decide if you felt we needed a mortgage advisor and if you felt you could do the research yourself. You were quite confident that you knew you
I think it was quite easy on the comparison websites because when you compare them all, they're all there, and you have a look at the prices, then you have a look at the terms of how long you want it for, and you can see them all in front of you, and you just look at them all and see which one's better, i.e. am I getting cash back with that one, and then have they got a lower percentage, and then you see like the figure you could, like at the end of the so you get a 5-year one or a 2-year, at the end of that term, that's when you renegotiate your next deal. So it does get, it sounds quite complicated, to be honest.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're waffling on, but like, you kind of like...
Doing it's not as complicated as it seems. But another thing, so once you've kind of found who you're going to go with, because once you've found who you're going to go with, you'll have them what's called your mortgage meeting. Now this is such a long meeting, it's about an hour and a half, and they literally go through everything, everything about you, the bank meeting or basically. You
do that over the phone now, I think because of the situation.
Yeah.
But you used to be able to go in, you might be able to soon, but it's easy enough over the phone.
Yeah.
And you just got to make sure you've got like 3 months pay slips, stuff like that handy.
Yeah. If you're self-employed, you need a bit more, so look into that, because I needed to have 3 months worth of earnings along with my tax forms and everything, so you do need a bit more.
And there was a HMRC form for them, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was a HMRC form, well that's my tax form.
So it's not that bad. They tell you what to do and what you need, and you've just got to get it really. And if you're employed with an employer, you just need your pay slips and your general details, and then you just answer questions that you know. Nothing hard about it.
No.
It's just trying to find the right deal. Like you said before, you want the lowest percentage of interest for the longest term you can, at the best monthly price for you, and hopefully to chuck in a few incentives like cashbacks, and I don't think they really give you anything else, but that's and it's some of it as well. You see the money at the end, you see the balance that you lend, what you want for the value of your house, there's much more. The interest is on top of that, and it's the big numbers and stuff like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You need to look at, but it just sounds complicated talking about it.
It does sound really complicated, but honestly it's not that complicated. But if you do think it's something that you're not capable of, then definitely look at mortgage advisors, because so many people seem to have had amazing mortgage advisors, but we can't really speak on that because we decided not to get one.
I think the big banks that have tools online, and the calculator tools and stuff, they're quite good. I feel like I've just
we've gone over this 4 times.
I've just made it so complicated.
I feel like it did. I don't even get what you're going on about now.
I don't. I'm just ridiculous.
Basically, do your own research online if you feel you can. If you feel that's way above you, then look at mortgage advisor, because Sean did it all himself and we got an amazing mortgage rate, but he's just made it seem really complicated.
Good job, I'm a mortgage advisor.
Nah, they'd be like, fucking hell, working out your needs. I can't get what he's on a move. Anyway, moving on to the next section. Get a move. Okay, so you've got your mortgage sorted, you've had your offer accepted. The next stage would kind of be getting a survey done on the property and getting a surveyor out. So I would stress this. I watched a horror story and I literally told Sean about it of a girl. I mean, it was in America, so it is very different, but I watched a horror story of a girl in America who bought a house that literally like flooded completely, and the previous owners knew about it and everything, and it was just a disaster. But anyway, I cannot stress enough, you will have to pay to get a survey done on the house, but please get a survey done on the house that you're buying. It is going to cost you, but in the long run it could save you a hell of a lot of money if there's something wrong with the property. You could be heartbroken if the survey comes back and says the house isn't worth buying, it's not worth the price. Listen to the surveyor though, because yeah, it's just so important. It's just a few hundred quid. We paid £500 for a full in-depth survey that we wanted to get the most thorough survey we could, so we paid a bit more, but you can get basic ones for about 200, 300, but if you can afford it, try and get the best survey done you can. So basically, a survey and a surveyor will come to the property when you're not there. It'll be arranged with the estate agent. They'll come to the property and they'll assess more or less every ounce of the property, from the land to the structure to, it's just more or less everything, isn't it?
It's just it's not too in depth though, where I thought it was a bit better. We're going to be a bit more than what it was, but it wasn't. But it's kind of just to make sure the building's okay.
Yeah, like you'll specify things like checking obviously that there's drainage for flooding. He specifies like obviously checking that your electric's at a certain standard.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got someone in the family, just get them along with you, and they might have experience and knowledge.
Yeah, but you still recommended to get an actual surveyor.
You're recommended, but you don't need them.
Well, no, you don't need it, but for mortgages, a lot of them will ask you to.
They'll recommend you to.
They recommend you to, but nationwide you need it to say proof of ours.
So don't tell them what they are.
Well, no, I'll have to cut that out. But you are meant to get them. Don't discourage people from getting a survey.
Okay, well, could I do it then?
Well, I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
You don't discourage people from getting a survey, man.
But you don't need to get one.
You do.
If you've got someone in the family who knows what they're doing,
no,
you get them on.
I don't care. Get an actual surveyor in.
No.
So anyway, once the surveyor's been at the property, they'll send you a report which will basically break down in sections everything that they looked at in the property, from likes of like the electrics, the gas, the structure, the outside space of the property, neighbours, if there's any kind of extensions or anything that's been done that he didn't have planning permission for. Like, he looks at quite a lot in depth. Ours was quite good. It came back that we had quite a decent house. There's nothing on it really, just a few niggly bits.
I think there's a lot of niggly bits, especially with houses.
Yeah, if you're buying a pre-owned house, you're gonna get.
There's a lot of like, you call it like, just like
wear and tear things.
Maybe. Or just like aesthetic. Touches that you would recommend. But that's it.
I would kind of describe it as a little bit like a car MOT. It's like a house MOT. They'll just go and check everything for you, and then our report worked in like a traffic light system. So you kind of say to you, okay, there's this little thing and it'll work in like a green, amber, red. So if there's something that's red, it means that it's something that would need immediate work. If it's amber, it's something that you may look into in the future, but it's not really urgent. And if it's green, then it means that it's completely fine.
Probably loads of green ones, but they're just but that's kind of how a survey report would work. Personally, I would highly recommend to get a surveyor out to survey the property for you, just because you've got that to fall back on if anything does happen to the house when you buy it. So get a survey report. You try and get a good surveyor as well. Don't get somebody that the estate agent has recommended you, because this is what that girl in America done and it didn't work out great for her. So I would just go and get an independent surveyor that you find yourself. Once you've had your survey done, you're then kind of getting in contact with a solicitor to do all the legal things for you. So you find a solicitor, you get a few quotes, and then you work what best for you. I think you just give them maybe the property details, because it varies on the property. It varies on location, property size, everything else. We paid just over £1,000, I think, for our solicitor. So everything.
for everything that was with the fee searches and everything. But this is the North East, so it might be a lot cheaper. If you go down Yarra London, you're probably paying a lot more.
Yeah, and it's like they search the land. Basically, there's anything you need to know about your property, because you're buying the land as well. You're potentially buying the land as well.
Yeah.
If it's that's what I've mentioned, freehold, leasehold. But
yeah.
That you're buying the land, and the stuff that could be across your land, near your land, that could affect you, and it's things that you need to know about, and they do all that.
So just as a reference for freehold and leasehold, when we were viewing properties, freehold means that you actually will own the land that you buy. So for example, you'll own your back and front garden. The leasehold means that you're actually renting the land of somebody. Preferably for us, we didn't view any houses that were leasehold. We wanted freehold. We wanted to own the land that the house was on as well, because you do have to pay a monthly kind of rent to the landowners. And for us, I just thought, we're paying all this money for a house, I don't want someone owning the land that my house is on. It was very important to us that we bought a freehold. Whether it is important to you or not is entirely your preference, but do research on that, because it is important, I think. Your solicitor will check like legal searches, area searches and stuff like that for you. To be fair, you don't really have much to do with a solicitor. They'll contact you now and again. Well, personally for us, we didn't. They'll contact you now and again for a bit of information they might want. And then really... They should. The only thing is, they kind of just give you the papers and expect you to read them and understand them. Yeah. So if there's stuff important, we would like what they would have told you, but to write it down. So make sure you read it. Because the solicitor will do you up a report, and you really need to read her report, because she's then specifying everything she's found. If there's something found, she or he should tell you to highlight it to you. But ours didn't.
As long as it's written down, that's then covered. Yeah. So read it, because if something's cropped up that isn't straightforward, it's written down. Yeah. And you then need to go back to them and ask them, what's this mean? Yeah. And just get back to them and ask them, because we hounded ours loads. Because we weren't really that happy, to be honest, because we were just given this big paperwork. And I think when you're a first time buyer as well, being given a huge chunk of paperwork with your contracting, you kind of expected, but we discovered maybe this is something a mortgage advisor would have helped with. But we didn't have one. But luckily Sean's mum was very helpful because of her job, so we had assistance, but not like... You know, if we didn't have your mum, I think we would have probably been a bit more... Yeah, because like, you actually get the paperwork, like... Just handed to you in this big chunk. It's written in like legal terms. Yeah, which you don't necessarily understand if you're not in there. Like, it's 3 paragraphs to say in 1 sentence. It's that type of... Yeah. Just ridiculous. But anyway, so... In terms of the solicitor, you'll not really have much to do with them. They'll ask you for a few things here and there, and then they'll give you this huge report that you're... Did you get your hands full? That you're expected to read and go through and then sign. Once you've handed that sign back to the solicitor, you'll then talk about an exchange date, and on that date they'll exchange your contracts, and that's the date that you'll be able to collect the keys. So that's all of the sections, because we've basically talked right through the process. I'm sorry for rambled, but I just wanted to try and talk about everything. If there's anything you feel we didn't answer, you can ask her below. We're going to quickly answer a few questions that we got asked on the home account, but then after that, if there's any additional questions, leave them in the comments. If we want to do maybe a part 2, we'll do any questions you have, or we'll just answer them in the comments. We'll open up through and give them an answer if we feel like there's not enough to do a part 2. So we'll go over a few of these questions, because I don't think we covered these, so they're just a bit general, more about us, not actually the process. What's the most exciting thing about moving in together? Who's going first? Me. Oh, go on then. I think just having your own like space and like your own living room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but moving in together, like about moving in with me.
Right, because you're there.
Oh, yeah, so you mean instead of being... Well, it sounded like you were on about having your own space.
No, like our space, like... Yeah. Like, this is like our house and we can just...
Do what we want.
But... If you're happy at home, just stay at home. Yeah. Because that's what we done for the first...
We did for the first 2, yes. Like, 2 years ago.
We were looking at houses and all smitten. Yeah. Wanting a house, got heartbroken, and then we just thought, stuff it, we'll leave it a couple of years. Yeah. Then just travel. And that's what we did. It was the best thing to do at the end of the day. Because you look back and people say it happens for a reason, and at the time it doesn't happen for a reason.
Or you're good, you're like, I don't believe that, but then it comes round and it does, yeah. So I'm most excited for just having our own little routine and like just living together and and starting a new kind of chapter of our life, like as a couple, because it is a huge chapter. The next question we got is, what was the main selling points of this house for you? So my main selling points were this space in this house for the price we paid. So we viewed houses at lots of different budgets, and a few around about the same budget as this house, and the space this house had was just really amazing, to be honest. Downstairs space, I have my own filming room, which I'm very excited about. You have your own games room in the house. The living room is phenomenal. We have a really amazing garden, in our opinion. Like, the space was a huge selling point for me. The area, like I said, this was an area we really wanted to live in, and just the overall structure of this house I really liked.
Yeah.
Were yours the same, or you got any others?
Main selling point is like the plot of land and the size of the house and the rooms out there.
Yeah, they were more or less, when we were looking at houses, we kind of had the same ones anyway. We were quite like similar, so we probably had the same selling points. And these weren't selling points, but obviously there was a lot of bonuses to this house for us. Like, our barbecue hut was a bonus. We obviously have a garage, which we were looking at houses with garages anyway, but not all houses have a garage, so for us that was a bonus as well. 4 bedrooms was a bonus, because we weren't really looking at 4, we were kind of looking at 3, but this one just kind of had everything we wanted.
We weren't looking just detached.
Yeah, we weren't.
Looking at semis and.
But this happens to be detached, which again is another bonus for us, but it wasn't something we were quite specific about. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for this. I think I actually love it. Do you? I just think it's like amazing. Anyway, the next thing is how soon are you hoping to have your work done by? It's going to be years before the house is exactly where we want it. We're not like, you know, delusional and that, but I think the main things we want to have done is my office, which is more or less nearly done. This house wasn't really a fix up, I don't think. It was more just interior wise. We viewed really modern houses that we just weren't into, were we? Like, we viewed some beautifully designed houses that would be Instagram worthy from the get-go, but they just didn't appeal to us. We were looking more for space and longer term plans for the house. So can you extend the house? Can you like, how can you extend the house? And that was kind of more what we were looking for. So yeah, I wouldn't say we were looking for a fix up but we weren't looking for a modern house. We didn't have a preference, we just knew what we wanted, and that's what we were looking for. So the next thing is did your mortgage just cover the house? So basically, if you don't know, there is some schemes, or I think some banks will allow you to get a larger mortgage loan and have money left over to do the house up. Personally, we just got a mortgage that covered the price of the house minus our deposit, and then we had extra savings to do the house up ourselves. So yes, our mortgage just covered the price of the mortgage.
Yep.
The next question is, were you scared of it falling through? Yes.
Well, yeah, because it's pretty much not done till it's done.
Yeah.
At
any point it can go.
The last day, really, till you sign, which is 6 weeks. It took us about 6-7 weeks or something.
Yeah, the full process.
So you're going through this and you're spending money at the end of the day. You owe a solicitor money if it falls through, and it can happen. You might not want to. He or she might not want to sell the house anymore. But it's just like, it's not a nice feeling, really.
It's not, no. And
it is stressful.
You've always got that fear it could fall through. It's just a reality. Which is why
in Scotland, I think you put an offer in. I think that's it.
More or less like contracted to buy the house.
It's not, but swings roundabouts.
Yeah, so yeah, it is a fear you'll have, but I believe it's just part of the process that it can happen, and it's something you've got to be aware of. The next question is this your forever home? So briefly mentioned this, but we did buy a bigger house because we did want to buy what we would class as a forever home, and this home I think is big enough for a large family. It's a really big house, there's room for extension, and yeah, I would say this is our forever home. We have no intentions of moving out. So yeah. The next thing is, do you have similar decor tastes? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
I know. I mean, I don't think you have much of a preference. I'll show you things and you'll either like it or you won't. But you don't really have your own preference. Like, I've asked you many a times, what do you want to do? Yeah, and you don't really have your own ideas, but you look at mine and either like it or you don't like it. But you don't really have your own preference, I wouldn't say. Or not ones that you've shared. Do you have one, or?
Well, I just know what I like. If I say it, I like it.
Yeah. I show Pinterest boards and I'm like, do you like this? Oh yeah, I like this. Yeah, this. Oh no, I don't like this. But things like you've showed me about as well. Like, we do and we don't. I would say, but that's like everyone. You've just got to come to compromises, haven't you? So the last question that we got, how long did you wait after leaving the house to put your offer in? So we waited about a week for this house.
Yeah, that was just, I mean, we just waited just to make sure I was right as well.
Yeah.
But other houses we didn't.
No.
Because sometimes you panic and...
Some houses we were putting offers in the next day. But yeah, with this house we waited about a week and decided we did actually really like it and want it. But that is everything. This is going to be a really long video. So if you've managed to make it to the end of this video, comment mushroom below. Because... is anyone still here? But anyway, this is going to be the end of our full video talking about houses and everything house buying. If you have any other questions, leave them below and either me or Sean will get back to you in the comments. We'll chat with yous, and if there's too many questions, I might even just do like a part 2 Q&A. But if there's just a few, we'll probably just answer them in the comments. But yeah, without further rat-tat-tat, we really hope you enjoyed this video. We hope you maybe learned something, and we hope we haven't confused you. We probably have, but that is the end of it. And yeah, if you are looking for a house, we wish you the best of luck, because we know how stressful it is. And yeah, best of luck on your house journeys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.